I made my favorite bands disappear. What's up everyone, welcome back to Beyond ARTV. My name is John and you're watching another episode of the Dear John Q&A, the series where I take a detailed viewer question and then I answer in video form if I think it's interesting, if it's music or entertainment related and I feel that there's a lesson to be learned or something that we can all glean from it or something that will even make myself think and maybe it'll challenge you as well. And today I'm tackling a question that came from a user that wanted to know a little bit more about listening to your favorite band or artist. Can you do it too much? Is there a line? Do we need to reserve ourselves some time? Or is it just something that we should just be constantly listening to? Is there the fear of burning out? I do hope that you guys will enjoy this episode. If you do, then support this series by dropping a like on it, give it a share, subscribe to the channel if you happen to be new, and let's get to that viewer question. Dear John, do you listen to your favorite artist every day, every week, or do you sometimes avoid listening to your favorite artists so you don't get sick of them? How do you find the balance between listening to new releases or exploring new genres and listening to your favorite songs and albums? For example, I love The Strokes and probably listen to them at least a couple of times a day, but I'm afraid of playing them so much that I might end up hating them. Is this a normal fear or am I just being weird? Thanks. Hashtag Dear John ARTV. Thank you for that lovely question, and of course if you want to be featured on a future episode, then use that same hashtag in the comment section down below, or else just start it with Dear John so that I can find you. The age-old question, can we listen to our favorite artist or our favorite album, or let's start small, our favorite song, and then play it to death? Can we burn ourselves out on it? Well, obviously that answer is yes. But should we use caution, I suppose, is the right way to phrase this, the TLDR. This is of course all coming from my own personal experience, but I think the safe answer is yes, we do need to reserve ourselves when listening to our favorite bands or even some of our favorite songs. I know that I personally can get quite sick of things, and there's albums that I won't touch, but maybe every 6 months or maybe even every year when I get the urge to listen to it because I don't want it to lose that special replay value, something that I can come back to, and it just gives me such a supercharge, something that refreshes my body, and I'm like, yes, I've been missing this, but also I didn't want to keep dipping my toe in the water every 2 seconds just to see like, oh, do I still like it? Is this still good? Obviously, I know it's good, but it makes it more special when you hold out. It's like waiting till marriage, except, you know, you're just being a virgin in the music sphere. You see the joke in comment sections on YouTube or possibly Reddit, Twitter threads, whatever, all the time of, oh, I can't wait to play this until I hate it. But it's almost like, haha, it wasn't even a joke. There's no real punchline because some people will literally do that to themselves. I kind of feel bad for people who put themselves in the box of only listening to, say, 5 or less groups, artists, bands, whatever the case may be, because they're living in such a confined area that you're bound to get sick of it, and obviously you burn out of your crazy fan phase because, well, you got tired of the music, or maybe you're just not as into it anymore, and you kind of don't know why that is. Well, you overindulged yourself. It's like if you love burgers and then you go get a burger every night for 3 weeks in a row, you're probably going to be sick of that. And then when you apply that to music, you wonder why it's the same way. It's because you're listening to this song or this album or this band every single day, and it no longer has that shiny value to it, like, oh, something new, or oh, that's something that's an old familiar friend that I've come back to for the first time in a month or something like that. If you do it every single day, then you're bound to get tired of it at some point. Some people refer to this as outgrowing an artist. I say that you overplayed the artist, and maybe it wasn't about you growing up or maturing or anything like that. Perhaps it was, but in my humblest of opinions, I feel that you probably just played it to death and you need to use some sort of caution or some sort of hesitancy in the future when it comes to just breaking the replay button on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, what have you. Believe it or not, it's completely normal to take a break from listening to your favorite band. It doesn't make you less of a fan. In fact, I feel that most bands, if you actually sat down to talk to them and you're like, well, I take breaks from listening to your music periodically so that I can save myself from getting burnt out on it. I feel that most of them would be totally understanding and say, yeah, I get that, because no band is always listening to, say, their own music outside of their concerts for the most part, and they're probably not just sitting around listening to Metallica or Green Day or whatever band, one band over and over again all the time. That's why that when bands mix up their sound or they move on to something new, they'll cite new inspirations because they've been listening to new music, and that makes a lot of sense. It can definitely apply to all of us as well, and sometimes I do get caught up on it. I think recently I was really stuck on the new Miley Cyrus song for whatever reason, Slide Away, and I felt really addicted to it. I just kind of kept replaying it because it has that chill vibe, and I've had that with some of the new Blink-182 tracks as well, and I don't want to play them into the ground and burn the house down because they get stuck in my head. I start to get sick of them, and then the cycle repeats. It's like, oh, I don't really care about this anymore, so I don't want to push myself over the cliff, so to speak. Since the viewer posed the original question of how often do I listen to my favorite bands, how often am I sitting down and playing my favorite artist, whether that be the vinyl copies or the CDs or just streaming it digitally. Well, I think it all comes down to how my week is going, honestly, and as this viewer asked, they basically said, how do you find time between new releases and old ones? Well, that's what 2019 has been the biggest struggle about for me. I feel that I've just kind of been flip-flopping between trying to carve out time for older stuff, but also find time for the new. And as I go into the 10th year of ARTV, which is wild to even say, the 10th anniversary just around the corner at this point, in fact, we're probably past it by the time you're watching this video, it just feels kind of strange to me that I don't have enough time to go back and listen to all these great records that I've accumulated over the years, whether that be stuff from the 70s or the 80s or whatever that I've gone back and discovered, or even all of the great albums from this very decade, the 2010s, that I don't even have time for. So 2020 in particular for me is going to be a continued year of kind of refining my selection of what I take the time to listen to in terms of new releases, because honestly at this point in my life, I feel like I have more than enough records for like 2 lifetimes that could keep me entertained, that I could keep coming back to because they have a lot of different styles, a lot of different genres. I've got everything from Death from Above 1979 to Kendrick Lamar to the early Maroon 5 stuff to Green Day to My Kim and all the way back around the world, John Mayer and more. It's just a wide variety of stuff that I do enjoy and that I've collected over time. So it does get me down occasionally that I don't have enough time allocated to those older records that I've discovered and love. So yes, I think there is such a thing as overindulging yourself, checking out too many new bands, but also again, you don't want to just confine yourself to being like, oh, I feel comfortable liking these 2 to 5 artists and just sticking with that forever. Some of you might find this absolutely wild, but in my liked songs, my saved tracks on Spotify, I only save like maybe 500 to 700 tracks at a time because I don't like to save like entire records unless it's like something new and I'm like really loving the album. I'll save it temporarily, and then maybe in the coming months I start to weed out and unsave other tracks that I just don't feel as attached to. I do that because I do treat it like my favorites playlist, but I don't like to overplay things. And some of my favorite bands like Green Day and My Kim, you're not even gonna see them in my liked songs because again, I don't want them to lose that special value, that special place that they have in my heart. I don't wear them out. I come back occasionally. To sum everything up to the original commenter, no, you are not weird. It's not just you. Your favorite band, The Strokes, you listen to them from time to time. That's perfectly normal to give yourself a break occasionally. And I encourage anyone watching this video to maybe take some time out. If you're just addicted to 21 Pilots, if you're just addicted to Panic at the Disco, or whatever other band it might be, take a week off and see how you feel. Discover a couple of new records. Maybe check out my Albums I Love playlist over on the main channel and check some of those out and see if you like it for yourself. Those are just my recommendations though. We're all different and we all consume music differently, so I would love to know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. Is it easy for you personally to burn yourself out on a song, an album, or a band, or is it just something that comes naturally, that you could play them 1,000 times and it still sounds just as fresh to your ears? Sound off in the comments section, and please do me a favor, hit the like button on this video. You can catch up on more episodes of Dear John by tapping this playlist card right here, or you can tap that Albums I Love playlist right over here. All of my social media accounts, including my Instagram, my Patreon, everything like that, if you want to help support the channel, that can be found in the description down below, and I will see you soon for more on Beyond ARTV.